What's up, y'all? Derek Johnson here, Rattletrap 1776. So, The Midnight Rider rides again, part 1 and part 2. #1 bestsellers. They explain how everything you've been watching the past 9 years is a special operation, military government, military occupation, unconventional warfare, irregular warfare, clandestine operations, covert operations, etc. Alright? It requires reading and comprehension of what you read to put it all together. Alright? But they're #1 bestsellers for a reason. So, I saw this article today or last night on BBC. Alright? And it reminded me of that saying that the future predicts the past. Now, if you get too in-depth in that scientifically, the retrocausality, don't go too deep into that. So I'm going to paraphrase it in my own kind of way. We'll call it rattletrapology. All right? I'll say it this way. The future presents the past. All right? So when I first came on the scene to everybody, one, I already had these documents written. So the books stem from what I had written from 2017 to 2021. Then I put them all in these Google hard drives. And then I had the video on Facebook go globally viral in 2022. All right, then those allow me to write the books that are now #1 bestsellers. All right, and what I typically find is the people who make negative comments or call it hogwash, BS, all that, they're low IQ or just lazy or both. I mean, so I wouldn't have #1 bestsellers if I was wrong. See, and it's not about being right or wrong, but I still wouldn't have #1 bestsellers because when you look at my demographic that follow me on all of my accounts, and I'm up to 850,000 and growing somewhere in there, and it's not about the numbers, but I'm making a point that when you take Facebook and Instagram that gives you data, well, the data that we see, 85% of the demographic that follow me are females. Well, guys, females are intuitive. They're not quick to judge when it comes to things like when a guy says this is a fact, they're going to go look it up. And they're going to go, all right, we're going to find out if it's a fact. Well, when I give nothing but material that empowers people, I don't predict, I don't make predictions, I don't use dates, I don't use future dates especially, then females go look up what you give them. And when they put it all together, they're like, holy crap. And see, I'm always at least a year ahead with certain things. And then also my books. So the first one was put out December 2023. And the other one was just this January 2025. But everything that's happening right now are already in my books. Without a predictive kind of date, but it's already there. So like this article, and here's my other phone here, it says, could Trump invoke another rarely used law at the border? And the law they're talking about is the Insurrection Act. All right? Well, let's just use some of the negative comments I've received in the past. Ignorant comments, straight up ignorant. From a few veterans. It's not a lot of veterans, but it's a few of them. And they're always focused on what other veterans didn't do. They don't ever look at the positive of what you did do and what you are doing. They always want to say, oh, well, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this. That ain't so. That ain't. If you'd have stayed in the military longer, you'd have known that. No. How troops are federalized don't require staying in the military anytime. You don't even have to be in the military or a veteran to know how troops are federalized. So see, that negates that comment right off the gate. Because that article right there is a soft disclosure of something they're going to come and tell you in the future because I already know it. It's already in my books. So, for instance, the Insurrection Act, and then also the 1798 Aliens Act, which SCOTUS rule that President Trump can most certainly use, which is crazy that we have to have a Supreme Court tell that a president can use a law that's been on the books. If it weren't usable, then it shouldn't be on the books, right? Which goes for a lot of other laws. So when you look at the federalization of the National Guard, New York and the 14 states also that deployed to Texas in February 2024 prove it all. So New York recently, March the 11th, 2025, there's a article, and it's not even an article, it's actually the letter to President Trump from the New York State Senate writing to President Trump to federalize the National Guard to active duty for this prison strike they're having up there for correctional facilities. Well, there's no order after that, but there is an Army article that says 8,200 National Guard are on duty for these correctional facilities. But where's the order? Where's the presidential order? Title 10, where's that order? It's nowhere in President Trump's, anywhere in his executive orders. Nowhere. And there's no verbal. Well, there's a 2023 report out by the Army that's already the report of what all they did in 2023 and 2022. Well, in 2022, most New Yorkers thought that Governor Hochul put Title 32 orders on the National Guard for the subways. When all the troops were in the subways you heard about? No, that's a Title 10 order. When you go look it up, it's a Title 10 order. It's presidential only. And the only Title 10 order in place for those National Guard are from March 27, 2020, President Trump's Executive Order 13912, when he federalized 1 million reserve components to active duty, which is in the first 180 days alone of the clause from Title 50, Chapter 33, Section 1550, which is the War Powers Act, which is a wartime order. All right, so that proves it. The other thing that proves the military government, absolute proof, are the terms capitulation, white flag of surrender, occupied country, and puppet government. I'm the only quote-unquote podcaster, because I'm not a podcaster, I'm a retired veteran, telling you what's been going on. All right, got the only books that tell about it. The only. Out of all the big name authors, I'm independent, self-published, no ghostwriter. All right, so I'm the only one who has talked about puppet governments. And rest in peace to my grandfather, who was an Army veteran, World War II. He loved military law. He was a connoisseur of military law. And he loved the puppet government tactic that they used in the 1940s. All right, where they used two different presidents with the Philippines. The one president was in D.C. under Roosevelt. He had full control of his military. And then the Japanese installed a quote-unquote fake president in the Philippines who had control of civil affairs only. All right, it was a puppet government. It stems into also government in exile, shadow government, which is continuity government, continuity of operations. All right, this is all unconventional warfare, and the definition of unconventional warfare by the Special Operations Command is to overthrow a government. And the only way to do it, the only way to overthrow a government lawfully is unconventional warfare, military law, military orders. All right, so President Trump in all his speeches, he has used the terms occupied territory, occupied country. He's used the white flag of surrender, capitulation. So in October, November, right before the election, he said we're an occupied country. We'll soon no longer be an occupied country. All right, that's Chapter 11 of the Law of War Manual. That's why they're not government terms. They're all military law of war manual terms. And all of his speeches are coded with law of war manual and military government, military occupation, continuity of government, continuity of operations. All of it's coded. I can decode that. So, occupied country, Chapter 11, Law of War Manual. Guess what else is in Chapter 11? Puppet governments. February the 18th, 2025, a reporter asked President Trump about capitulations and a puppet government with Russia. No coincidence. So see, everything in my books are already, they're past because they're timestamped. They're already out. And everything in them, Title 10, Title 50, how this was all pulled off lawfully, is now presenting itself because this article just came out on BBC. Military occupation, military government is martial law. All those acts have already been invoked. So see, that's disclosure of when they do unveil it. And when they do unveil it, my books are time-stamped, and they will be time-stamped for at least a year. Gotta check it out.